Welcome to Publishing Power. My name is JoEllen, and we are here today with the Quartet. It is four of us who work in the writing industry, and we're excited about editing and self-publishing, and we'd love to talk to you today. So we're doing a little series for you, and we're going to talk about the different things that our companies have and how we're working together and how we think that we can better help writers and authors out there. So today we have with us Kristina Stanley from Fictionary. As you know, she's been with us with the 38 story element. We have Tara Kremen, who is the director of Kobo Writing Life. Say hello there. She's our leading expert on everything self-publishing in the indie world. And then we have Lisa from Pro Writing Aid, of course, our online tool that we love. And we are here to talk to you today. So thank you for joining us. My name's JoEllen. I'm from First Editing. Today, we also have Kristina Stanley. She has combined her degree in computer mathematics with her success as a best-selling, award-winning author. And she is also a fiction editor who we love. She's become the creator and the founder of Fictionary. So she is a Fictionary certified story coach. She's a story editing advisor to the Alliance of Independent Authors. And she was on the board of directors at the Story Studio Writing Society. So pretty impressive background there. Her dream is to combine people and technology to help writers and editors tell the best story possible. This is fantastic. Kristina is here to talk to us today about Fictionary, which helps writers and editors tell better stories with online software, and it simplifies all the editing, which we know because we use it here at First Editing. Fictionary products include Storyteller, which is for the fiction writers, and Story Coach, which is for the professional editors. Welcome again to Publishing Power. Today we have Kristina Stanley from Fictionary on the hot seat with the Quartet. So today we're going to be asking Kristina all kinds of fantastic questions about her company. Hi, Kristina.
Hi, JoEllen.
Welcome, welcome. We also have with us Tara Kremen from Kobo Writing Life and Lisa Lebke from Pro Writing Aid. We're going to be asking some definite questions to Kristina. I want to mention that she had combined her degree in computer mathematics with her best-selling, award-winning book as an author, and she is a fiction editor, and she became the creator and the CEO of Fictionary. And those of you who follow Publishing Power know her very well. She is a Fictionary certified story coach. She is the story editing advisor on the Alliance of Independent Authors and the board of directors for the Story Studio Writing Society. She was on there for a while. So again, her dream is to combine that people and technology and help the writers create the best story. And that's why we love talking with Kristina. Fictionary has fantastic opportunities out there. They help writers and editors to tell better stories with online software. And Fictionary includes Storyteller for the writers and Story Coach for the professional editors. So welcome today, Kristina. Are you ready?
I am ready for some tough questions.
All right. Tara, you get to start. Welcome from Kobo Writing Life. Here's Tara Kremen.
Sure. We get our authors asking us a lot of questions when they come to us about different processes of the editing of their book, or, if they're wanting to go in a different direction with a new book or start a different genre. And as booksellers, we're not really entrenched in the process of creation as much. So I wanted to know about you with Fictionary. Why is it important for an author to do a story edit on Fictionary?
Sure. So, of course, I love talking about Fictionary. Fictionary Storyteller is for writers, and it's for them to self-edit their novel from a high-level story perspective. And it becomes important if you think of writing a novel as like any other art. You need to learn the craft behind the art and the form of it if you want to do something spectacular with your story. And so what Fictionary is designed to do is to show a writer what they need to look at on a per scene basis. And I very carefully say form there because it's not a formula, it's more of a guide. There are, of course, fiction rules, and writers can break them, but only once they know them and understand that they're breaking them, and don't break them by accident. And so what we're hoping to do with Fictionary 1 is teach them what goes into a great story. And so as they edit their first draft within Fictionary, then they learn all the basics on a per scene basis. And once they know that, then the next novel they write is going to be much easier because it's ingrained in their head. And so the feedback we get from our subscribers is really, it's a great learning process. And because it's so organized, and enables them to do things to avoid what Miss Lisa did with writing a novel and not finishing it. Because often a person writes a draft, and by a draft, I mean you've written a story that's gotten all the way to the climax and a resolution. So there's some sort of story there. And then it's overwhelming because you get it, you have a big MS Word or Google Docs document, and there's your 80,000 words. What do you do with it? And so Fictionary points you on every scene, what to do with every scene. And so the writer can actually finish their story and it will be better.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Nice question. I get the next question here. It's my turn. So I know that Kristina and I, we've been spending weeks, almost a year, talking about the 38 story elements on publishing power. And one of the things that does is it's all used by the software at Fictionary called Storyteller. So my question is how do Storyteller users, the ones that are actually using that software themselves, how do they best benefit from a certified story coach?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And JoEllen and I worked a long time on this. And the reason the Story Coach software and the Fictionary Certified Story Coach program was created was that we found there were too many writers out there, one, not knowing what they should get from a story editor, and two, not really getting a full story edit. And the other problem is for editors to do a story edit, it's very time consuming. And so what Story Coach is doing is it's helping the editor be comprehensive so they cover everything. It's helping them do it quickly so they can actually do a job and teach the writer at the same time. And when a Story Coach editor, like all of the editors at First Editing are all certified, when those editors do an edit, what they do is they create an account in Story Coach for the writer. And the writer then not only gets the edit and they can see all of the visuals and the comments on a per scene basis, they also get writing advice. So if they don't understand what the editor said or they need more information, there's writing advice for the writer right in there. And so it follows up behind the editor. And what a Story Coach editor then does is they provide an extreme amount of information to a writer. And so it's not a one kind of, it's a handoff and then you're on your own as a writer. The writer's left with a tool to really utilize what the editor is saying. The other benefit is the writer can see the impact of the editor's comments on their story. So as they revise, the story arc continually redraws and the word count per scene, and they can see their story getting better. So the writer has confidence that the editor has done a great job, and the editor has confidence they've done a great job and not influenced the reader's voice or story intent, because Story Coach keeps them on track and super focused.
I think so. And I think one of the things that we love as Story Coach editors is that, you know, all of the edits are right in line so you can see them. There's no cross-reference with that, the letters and the notes, the annotation. It's right there. So you can go through, and it's very much a checklist of everything that you have to catch. And of course, Storyteller gives you all the information. So we're getting back to that same level where we can talk together. So Lisa from Pro Writing Aid, it is now your turn to ask Fictionary the magical question of the day.
So I think one of the things that I like most about Fictionary, I mean, there's a lot of things that I love. In a lot of ways, it gives me sort of a checklist of things to think about in each scene. And I love that just in terms of a reminder of different ways that you can add depth to scenes. But the thing that I really love and that I waste hours of my life on is all the visualizations and running, the story arcs and looking at graphs that show which characters are in which scenes and all of that. Why did you want to add those elements to when people are doing their story edits?
Yeah, so two things on your question. One, I'm just going to pop up something that JoEllen has often said. It's like a pilot's checklist before they take off, right? That the pilot is fully professional, knows how to fly a plane, and yet they go through a checklist every single time to make sure they haven't missed something. And that's what you're talking about, I think, Lisa, is that it's there so you can choose to ignore it if you want, but it's kind of in your face that maybe you should look at it. So JoEllen's analogy that I just like to steal from her because it's really good. And so the visuals, I started that because when I wrote my books, I had 4 of them and I had these spreadsheets and I was drawing them in Excel. And so I was counting my word count per scene and then drawing it out so I could see it. I was using word count to go, okay, this percent is in, so where's my inciting incident? And it was taking me forever. And you think, well, this is just frustrating, right? So we put the visuals in so that the writer can see their story arc. And you can change it around if you don't agree. We use natural language processing to scan and evaluate the manuscript. So as you know, it's close, but it may need to be altered a little bit. So the writer has a choice and they can update the key scenes and things as they see fit. But as they revise, they can see that their story arc is filling into the right place. And again, I stress the story arc is a form. It's been around since the beginning of time and hasn't changed. So all of these successful stories, movies, it follows the same general story arc. And so as a writer, it's important to know what it is. You can always do something different, but if you understand why it's there in the first place, then you're deciding on an educated knowledge base of how to change it. So the visual is really there. The word count per scene and the scenes per chapter will really show a writer what their structure looks like. And one of JoEllen's editors just edited a book where she shared the word count per scene and asked, we were just discussing about what's the best way to help the writer. And the word count per scene was showing the writer had all of their scenes between 500 and 1,000 words, and they had a 7,000 word scene in there. And it made the story arc look really odd because it doesn't fit the form. So the advice was to go back and look through the scene for scene breaks where you could break it out and make it more manageable for the reader, because 7,000 words is really long for one scene where you might be reading on your phone. And then the chapters or the scenes per chapter helps the writer figure out the theming of their chapters and why did they put a specific scene with a certain chapter? Why wasn't it in the next chapter? Why was it grouped at all? And they can see it and look at, again, one of the books had one chapter with 19 scenes and the rest of them had 1 to 3. So there's an imbalance there and the reader's going to go, what is this? It's odd. It's going to stick and they won't know why this chapter is dragging, but there's a reason. So the visuals, and that's just 3 of them. There's 13 in all, but they just help the writer see the book in a different way. And then they can make adjustments to fix it and understand why they're fixing it.
Yeah, I feel like it lets you look at the big picture. You can see the whole forest instead of just the individual trees. Because if you're standing at the edge of a forest, you can just see the trees that are right in front of you. But being able to back up and get that high level look at it is so important. Because then you can see how things are in relation to each other and where things aren't fitting in. Because even if readers don't really realize that they've gotten used to the rhythm of a book, I think it happens. And so if the rhythm of a book is 3 scenes, 3 scenes, 4 scenes, 3 scenes, and then it's 12 scenes, your reader is getting ready for the end of something, and then it doesn't come, and it's like weirdly unsatisfying.
It is, and it is weirdly unsatisfying. That's exactly what it is. And the reader going, and they might not come back to your book because of it. And that's terrible, especially if it's a good story, right? Then you think all that is structure change, not big story changes that can just very quickly improve the story.
And it comes down to making everything reader-centric again, which is something we talk about a lot at Pro Writing Aid. Like, we're not suggesting in most cases that people change the story elements and the key parts of their narrative. What you're suggesting and what we're suggesting with a lot of our reports is changing the delivery elements of it so that, everything's still there. You're just helping your reader to understand and digest and take the story from the pages of your book into their brain in the easiest, smoothest way.
Yeah, and that kind of leads back to JoEllen's question about story coach editors, and their editors know when they're looking exactly what you're saying for the writer, the editor is going to do that as well and has the same advantage of it. So they're not influencing the writer's voice or intent. And it's hard to do that as an editor if you're just using a big Word document. But when you can actually see it and understand it, you can see if you're influencing their intent and their voice. And so it helps the editor as well, just help the writer.
All part of the same process.
Yeah.
It's a tricky little dance everyone's got to do. And the more tools, the more help you have, that's the better you can be. And that's why we're here. That's why we've created this little quartet, because we're getting you through the editing, through the writing, and into the publishing. And that's really the scariest parts, I think, for the writers. So I'm glad we're doing this and we're having fun. All right. Thank you so much for coming today. And we will see you next week. Subscribe and follow along, and you'll get all the information in the writing industry. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.